If you want to be ANSI compliant with your fall protection products, all you have to do is look at the product specs on a manufacturer's or distributor's website, or just look at the label or tags located on the product itself, right? Wrong! And if you're thinking, I got a document that proves my product meets ANSI standards, that's great. But does your document include all the information required by the ANSI standards? If it doesn't, it's not compliant. God damn! So we're about to discuss what must be provided to you by the manufacturer to ensure you have ANSI compliant products. And there really is only one way to truly verify that a product is ANSI compliant. And a lot of fall protection suppliers are hiding this one single piece of information from you. This could be the biggest secret in the fall protection industry that manufacturers don't want you to know. And I'll tell you all about it later. Now, why is ANSI compliance such a big deal? Fall protection products that meet ANSI standards offer best practices and have the highest safety standards. OSHA, on the other hand, has no requirements on product quality, manufacturing best practices, or testing criteria. OSHA simply provides the minimum performance characteristics allowed by law. As a safety professional, you're responsible for people's lives, so what you're about to learn is vital for protecting your workers. And later you'll see how choosing products that meet ANSI requirements can improve your business, so stick around for that. So first off, did you know that ANSI compliant written on a product webpage or even on a product label or tag does not make a product officially ANSI compliant? There is no enforcement or policing for these markings, so you must beware of products manipulating consumers into thinking they're ANSI compliant. There are dozens upon dozens of fall protection providers that say their products are ANSI compliant, but only a small percentage actually are. The only way to truly validate ANSI compliance is with a document called a Declaration of Conformity, or DOC, and a valid DOC is the gold standard in our industry. Only a true fall protection manufacturer who does their own testing is able to produce a valid DOC. Fall protection providers who don't do their own testing must utilize a certificate of compliance from a third-party certification organization, but the reality is that most providers simply assert ANSI compliance but fail to actually comply with the standard. The DOC and COC are evidence that the fall protection product meets all the ANSI criteria, passed all the rigorous testing in an ISO accredited lab, and is compliant with the ANSI standards listed on the document. Now, if a fall protection manufacturer does not provide a DOC or COC upon your request, that product cannot be considered ANSI compliant. You must have a valid version of one of these documents. So those responsible for the safety of workers and or responsible for the selection of their fall protection equipment should proceed with a buyer beware point of view and make sure their gear really does meet the most current ANSI standard. Unfortunately, you can't take the manufacturer's word for it and assume what a label or website states is valid. What's really crazy is there are manufacturers who provide DOCs that aren't legitimate. And this is actually occurring far more often than one might think. In fact, getting a valid DOC from a legitimate manufacturer is more of the exception than the rule. Okay, so let's say you're lucky enough to get your hands on a DOC. You're good, right? Not so fast. Even if you already have a DOC for products currently deployed in the field, that document may be missing critical information. So what must the Declaration of Conformity or Certificate of Compliance contain that proves the product has met the current ANSI requirements? To answer that, let's take a closer look at all the requirements for the DOC and COC, which is purchasable on the ANSI website. There's a link below so you can get a copy for yourself. All right, what we're looking at here is the ANSI ASSP Z359.7-2019 qualification and verification testing of fall protection products. And down near the bottom is the information regarding what the Declaration of Conformity and Certificate of Compliance must contain. Down toward the bottom at section 5.2.1, it says, the manufacturer shall prepare and make available a declaration of conformity for each model of product for which a claim of conformity is made, or use a third-party certification organization to prepare and make available a certificate of compliance for each model of product. So each product must have a document claiming it conforms with ANSI standards. It continues with, the manufacturer or certification organization shall not claim compliance to portions of a standard, exclude tests or sections of a standard. That's a big one. Or provide exceptions. So they can't leave anything out. These documents shall only be provided when a product passes all applicable tests and includes all markings, labels, and instructions required by the product standard. That means if anything is left out, it's not a legitimate DOC or COC. Manufacturers can't pick and choose what areas they'd like to comply with. All right, let's go through these bullet points while looking at a FallTech DOC so you can better understand and recognize the contents of a DOC. And this DOC can be downloaded by anyone right now for free on the FallTech website, so no email address is necessary either. And just a heads up, if you're on a web page for a product that claims to meet ANSI standards and there isn't a link for downloading the product's declaration of conformity or certificate of compliance, wouldn't you consider that a red flag? If you're a manufacturer with products meeting ANSI standards, wouldn't that be something you'd want to provide? Anyway, let's check out this DOC and start with what ANSI says we need right here at the top. The Declaration of Conformity or Certificate of Compliance shall be prepared on manufacturer or third-party certification organization letterhead and include, at minimum, that's my favorite part. We obviously have the letterhead here. Next is the first bullet point, the title of the document, Declaration of Conformity. Boom, unique document number. There it is, the date, check, manufacturer's name, address, and contact information. You can see all that here, and it's on each page. Product models covered by the document. You can see this document is for the FT1 Fit full body harness. This is the model number that was tested, and these are subs or variants of the master part number because they just have different D-ring and buckle configurations. Clearly you can see the applicable ANSI standard number and date here with ANSI Z359.11-2021. Here's the statement attesting that the product is in conformity with the requirements of the standard. Alexander Andrew Inc. declares that the products listed above are in conformity with the requirements of the following product standards, which I just mentioned. This next part is really cool, because most people don't know that FallTech actually has its own in-house ISO IEC standard 17025 accredited test laboratory. And the accrediting agency is seen here, IAS, and their info. This is extremely critical. The accreditation mark is really the only way an end user can validate that a product was tested in lab and tested in a lab that is approved to do the testing. And this is what I mentioned earlier. This document and others that may look official are worthless if they don't have the accreditation agency identification on the document. It's the single most important piece to validate and legitimize the DOC or COC. Without the accrediting mark from a legit agency, the document you have is essentially toilet paper. It doesn't mean a thing. The next part, references to the applicable test results. Just scroll down and you'll see that FallTech goes above and beyond the Z359 here and includes the applicable test results with its DOC. You can request the same from your manufacturer. There is no need for a manufacturer to hide the test results when they're doing things the right way. Am I right? Here you can see that Zachary Winters is the engineering manager who was qualified to provide the authorized signature, and who is actually qualified to sign a DOC or COC is mentioned above in this ANSI PDF. So this is what you want to see at minimum, and some manufacturers do not provide all this required information in their product's declaration of conformity or certificate of compliance, and therefore their products are not in compliance with ANSI ASSP standards. You probably wouldn't want your insurance company to find that out for you. Okay, so let's say you have a DOC with the accrediting agency information. Is everything good to go? What do you do with it? Well, I'll show you how to audit your fall protection provider by looking up the accreditation agency. Now, why would you need to do this? One of the reasons is that they may have an ISO lab, but perhaps they're not qualified to test mechanical devices like SRLs. Only harnesses. Or maybe they have an ISO lab, but they're not testing their products in conformance with the Z359 standard. Remember, they need to meet the whole standard. They can't just be picking and choosing what and when. So let's take a look. I'm on the IAS website. Regardless of which accreditation website you're on, you'll want to go to their directory to search for accredited organizations. Type Z359 in the keyword search and you'll see the list of organizations. FallTech is right there at the top. And now it takes us to the certificate of accreditation with the scope of accreditation, which details what a manufacturer is authorized and qualified to test. Accreditation, that is the hardest word to say over and over again. Okay, so now we have a DOC with all the necessary information, including the accreditation agency, and that allowed us to audit the manufacturer and pull up FallTech's certificate of accreditation and their scope of accreditation. I'm saying that right, but that's not all. FallTech takes it even a step further, going above and beyond what is required by ANSI and actually publishes the raw test data of how the products perform during qualification testing. No other manufacturer on the market does this today. It's a true testament to FallTech's commitment to transparency and competence in their product offering. Now you can start to see why most manufacturers don't go through all this to maintain true ANSI compliance. Money. About 50 SRLs are destroyed during the ANSI qualification testing in order to certify one SRL. So imagine then repeating that process for every size and category manufacturer sells. And this is just for devices. You've got a whole line of soft goods, harnesses, all manner of anchors, and more. It's a very costly endeavor. With no ANSI police, it's easier to slap a label on it and hope no one audits you. So ask yourself, does your fall protection provider have this kind of commitment to transparency? Does your fall protection provider allow immediate access to their DOC? If you have a DOC, does it have the accrediting agency on it? If it's not FallTech, chances are you're not going to see one. Regardless, you now have the tools to audit your provider and separate fact from fiction. Keep in mind, higher standards results in better quality products with superior fit, form, and function, and better quality products are more likely to be used when needed because a comfortable employee is a safer employee. And this can directly impact your insurance premiums by reducing incident rates, improve job bidding, lower EMR, and more. ANSI keeps workers safer and keeps costs down, and that's good for business. If you'd like to know more about ANSI standards and the Declaration of Conformity, we've got more info at falltech.com. If you made it this far, I know this information was extremely helpful, so please give this video a thumbs up as a way of saying thank you. Subscribe because you want to get more info, and by clicking the bell icon, it lets you know when a fresh video is posted, and share this video with anyone who should know this information too. All right, thanks for watching.